Greetings, everyone. DFG here. Hey, I got my special guest with me today, my brother with Gideon's Flight.
Jonathan Space.
Y'all remember Jonathan. Jonathan and I have done a couple of videos together, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, we thought we'd come to get together today, and I thought I'd give you a special treat by getting a young man's perspective, right?
Yeah.
Now, because a lot of you guys, they're old head, and they is the elder again. So don't call me old head, call me elder, all right? Jonathan calls me cat, but don't call me old head, call me elder. But the elder has a young warrior, a young soldier with him today. Jonathan, you mind sharing how old are you?
I'm 30.
So he's 30 years old. So this way, guys, we got a good, we got both generations feel, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, what you become? That's millennial? What are you?
No, I'm right before the millenniums.
So-
I'm an 80 baby.
What is it?
80s baby.
He's an
Right,
80s
right,
baby,
right
so-
in the crack epidemic.
Wow. Well, you know what? That's funny you bring that up because that's what we're going to talk about, guys. A previous video, I was talking about the prison industrial complex. And really, I was talking about manufacturing jobs, how that we were being told that all the manufacturing jobs, the factory jobs have been shipped overseas.
Right.
Only to find out that a lot of them have been the industrialized one.
Right.
But when you start coming to like the mills and things like that, where they make clothing and plates and
Right.
general product that you use every day in your homes, no, a lot of those things were still made right here in America, American made, but with slave labor.
Absolutely.
And so, what we want to talk about to you, at least I want to share with you, and what we want to talk about is that with the prison industry complex and private prisons in particular, a couple additional facts. When companies pay for or own private prisons like Target and Nordstrom's, those companies have an agreement with every state. And that agreement that they have with those states, Jonathan and guys, is that if those prisons are not filled to at least 90% capacity, they can sue those states for millions of dollars. So those states have an incentive to incarcerate and to pass sentences, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
on to anyone they get into their system.
Right.
It does not benefit them not to do so because the state will lose money. Isn't that something?
That's crazy.
And not only that, but if a state happens to get to a full capacity, those states can literally lease their prisoners to other states by bed, believe it or not. So typically, if you held a prison, it could cost you $4 to $5 per bed. But if I owned a prison, it will, it cost me $5 per bed.
Right.
But if I lease one of my prisoners to you, then I can lease it to you for $1.95, per bed. So in essence, I save $3
Right.
by sending my prisoner over to you. You follow me? And then you save $1 because you got that prisoner, but more importantly, you got that labor. Now you tell me that's not a damn
Yeah,
racket.
yeah. That's a Ponzi scheme, right?
That is a Ponzi scheme, and we already talked about the other statistics in terms of who's filling these jails, right?
Right.
They're typically minorities, right?
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes down to the black, so-called black and Latino
Absolutely.
families. 60, 70% of
Absolutely.
those incarcerated fit that particular ethnic group.
And they're getting us at our prime age, between 18 and 25, 30 years old. Young guys like me doing a lot of time getting taken away from their families.
Yeah, no question about it. And I know we don't have to get into personal stuff, but I know you were visiting someone yesterday for his birthday. But where did you visit him, Jonathan?
County jail.
County?
Young man just turned 21 in his prime. Just,
So you-
just sad.
Had to celebrate his birthday in the county jail. And he's not the only one.
No.
You follow me?
I got another cousin, their cellmates in jail together right now.
Yeah.
And that young kid's only 18. His father got deported. His mom is dead. So he's got a long road ahead of him.
Long road ahead of him. And that's what we're saying. And, and something comes to my mind too, Jonathan, that I want to talk about. Obviously we know that economics has a lot to do with incarceration. I know that a lot of people say, no, it does.
Right. Yeah.
Because poor people, have a tendency to take more risk
Right.
because of lack, because
Right.
they don't have the basic necessities.
Right.
Especially when it comes down to young men, men 18 to your point, 30, 35 years old. At some point, they're going to realize that they cannot, take care of themselves, on minimum wage jobs.
Right.
If they can get those jobs.
Right.
And typically, especially in this day's economy, most of those jobs are part-time jobs.
Absolutely.
So it's an incentive for them to if they take the jobs, then it's going to be very hard for them to provide for themselves, so their self-esteem goes down. If they want to be in a relationship, it's even more difficult
Absolutely.
Because now whoever the lady that they're in a relationship with, because that's the way we see relationship between a
Right.
man and a woman.
Absolutely.
Now, if he cannot help her,
Yeah.
then she's not going to have the proper respect for him as a provider.
Absolutely. One of the guys that I know, I was just talking about, he's about to have a baby.
Yeah.
18.
Yeah. So now that forces them into the welfare system.
Absolutely.
You follow me? And the welfare system, since we're talking about the welfare, was not constructed to uplift you.
No, it's not here to help you.
It's not. It's
No.
not. And let me tell you a quick little story, guys. It's not a story. It's a fact.
Right.
Because I'm a welfare baby.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, all of my siblings, okay? And probably a lot of you listen
Yeah.
to this video are welfare babies.
Yeah.
And if you remember, one of the things about being a welfare baby is that your mother could only get welfare assistance, government assistance, if she did not have who in the house?
Father.
A father. So she could not have a father in the house.
No.
Right? So if that father was not able to provide for his children,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Then the family was better off with him outside of the house.
Absolutely.
Because the government would pay her per child.
Absolutely.
You follow me?
Absolutely.
And based off of what she would get, typically it ended up being more than he could bring home.
Exactly.
Now that
Yeah.
might sound, now of course
Yeah.
we can see a lot of faults with that. You agree with that, Jonathan?
Yeah, absolutely.
And a couple of faults is this. If there's no father in a home, then that particular role in the household has been defaulted.
Absolutely.
Now I know, we were taught, a lot of us were taught, and by the way, I was a single parent for a while myself. And, but one thing I never confused for myself. But I know we were taught that, in a single parent household, you the mother and the father.
Right. Right.
Now, guys, you may be providing for your child, women, men, but you're not mother and father unless you are some type of
Yahweh.
Aphrodite or Morphodite or some kind of half man, half woman.
Right.
So, and come on, you guys, we're bright. So, we understand what you mean with what you're saying. The problem is that we start to believe it to the point
Right.
that it almost becomes self-fulfilling. And not only self-fulfilling, but we become almost persuaded, convinced that we don't need each other anymore.
Right.
That I don't need a woman or you don't need a man.
Right.
My child doesn't need a father. I could do all of that.
Right.
But if you really look at the statistics in terms of what happens to children in single-parent homes, especially where a father is absent, I'm talking statistically speaking.
Right.
I think the last time I checked, it's almost 7 out of 10 of those children end up in perpetual poverty. Perpetual poverty. That's what ends up happening to them. Because the role that they need, that particular guidance that they need, you
Right.
follow me?
Right.
The things that a healthy-minded male would bring to a family, you know what I'm saying? It's essential in regards to how to manage a family.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about a wife, you know what I'm saying, or a husband, the roles of a wife and a husband,
Right.
and how the children are raised in balance.
Absolutely.
That makes sense
It
to
makes
you?
plenty of sense.
And so the welfare system was constructed to keep dads out of the house.
Right.
And with dads out of the house, and you heard me guys talk about some numbers not long ago, that by the 3rd grade, if that child is failing, all right, the government already has a general idea, pretty good idea, not a general, but a good idea, where that child is going to end up probably in about 10 to 12 years.
Right.
They know that child is going to end up in the prison system.
Absolutely.
So they're not very interested in educating that child. They're not very interested in making sure that child has a father.
Right.
You follow me?
Right.
So now you've got the prison recycling system, right?
Right.
Now, because if daddy is not home, then Johnny's gonna go out and play. Now,
Absolutely.
mama, I know you got Johnny. I know you'll spank Johnny behind and punish Johnny and take
Yeah.
things from Johnny. But see, when Johnny gets 13 and 14 and Johnny is bigger than you,
Yeah.
and Johnny starts giving you that what they call that
What
kind of-
smelling himself.
what kind of that little face, like that stinky face. I think the term is that stinky face.
Right. Right.
You follow me? And he gives you that stinky face, and mama gonna be like, boy, I don't know who you looking at like that. A girl, I don't know who you looking like that. I'll knock you out.
Right.
But deep in her heart, deep in
So
his heart,
She knows too late.
she knows it's too late, and she knows good and so well that that boy is bigger than her, and ain't no way she gonna be able to get in no fight with him and come out on the top side of it.
Right.
And last thing she wants is to be the reason that her child is going to jail because he put his hands on her.
Absolutely.
You follow me?
Right.
Or she had to hurt that child.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because so most of the time they just let them go. They just say, okay, I can't do nothing with this child.
Exactly.
You follow me?
Yep.
So now, and then so when you look at the welfare system, here's another thing I want you to be thinking about. And guys, you should be thinking about. The welfare system is not giving you something for free. Ladies, they're not giving you something for free. Because here's what this is what they're hoping that happens. They're hoping that because that child doesn't have a father in the house, that at some point that child becomes wayward, hard to manage, and ultimately turn to crime.
Absolutely.
You follow me? And when that child turns to crime, then they get that child in the prison system. So once they got him in the prison system, they got him working for 12 cents an hour.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? 50 cents an hour.
Right.
And guess what? And he's producing billions of dollars.
Absolutely.
And guess what? So they're getting their money back with interest. And if you got 5 children, if they can get all 5 of them in the system, think about, do the multiples, do the math.
Right.
It's a great investment.
Absolutely.
Give you welfare, take your child, have your child replenish me for the welfare I gave you times 100-fold.
Right.
Pretty good damn system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, for the child support aspect, because most of these men, they can't, you know what I'm saying? If they don't have a job, or at least
Right.
where they can earn a livable wage,
Right.
women, I'm gonna be honest with you, men too, but mainly women, putting your child's father on child support
Yeah.
is a death sentence.
Absolutely.
And I know you're angry because I understand that you're saying he made him, he should be willing to take care of him. I don't disagree. But this is what I would tell you, that, you know, if you look at it, I just want you to expand your thinking. If he's making $10 an hour, you say, well, any job is better than no job.
Right.
But if he's making $10 an hour, you do the math, that's what? If he works an 8-hour day, that's $40 a day. That's 5 times 40, that's $240 a week. So what percentage of that he's going to pay child? Let's just say he pays 60% of that.
Right.
So he's going to literally be giving you, let's just say, 240, half of that is what, 160?
Yeah.
No. That's 120.
Right.
So that's 120. So let's just say you get 60%. So he's going to give you maybe $140 a week. So that means he's got to make a living off of $60 a week.
Can't do it.
That's rent. I mean,
He's gonna be forced to go back into crime.
it's a vicious cycle.
Absolutely.
It's a vicious. So why put him into that situation?
And not only that, you know, if he's in prison, incarcerated, if you don't take him off that child support keep adding up, the interest keep adding up. So let's say you do 5 years in prison, he might come home to a $40,000 payment of child support.
Yes. And then the second part of it is that, you know, and again, we're not apologists for men not taking care of their children.
Right.
Matter of fact, the scripture says a man that does not take care of his child, he's worse than an infidel. In other words, an infidel is an unbeliever.
Right.
So trust me, we're not advocating that.
Right.
We're just simply saying that that's a death spiral.
Absolutely.
Throwing your child's father in prison or your child's mother in prison for child support. Think about the message you're sending to your child.
Right.
So now this child has to grow up with the stigma that his dad is no good or his mother is no good.
Right.
Because they're convicts, they're in prison.
Right.
Think about that for their own personal self-esteem. How do you spend that?
Yeah, you can't.
How would you spend it? What would you say to them?
You can't. You're teaching them self-hatred.
Yeah, because what you going to tell? Well, you know, your dad was just no damn good. His ass deserved to be in jail. Really, guys?
That breaks the whole respect right there. He ain't
Wait,
gonna respect his father.
You don't think at some point the child going to come back and start thinking about you and your decision-making and your choices?
True.
At no point you think that child is not going to grow up and become smart enough to say, well, if he was so damn bad, then why the hell you laid with him, mama? Why you got with him?
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so think about the stigma that it's going to create. It creates low self-esteem and in many cases self-hatred.
Absolutely.
I know I don't want to be the child who has to go around and say, what your daddy do for a living? Oh, my daddy in jail.
Right.
Why is he in jail? Because he couldn't pay child support. Right. Well, who put him on child support? My mama did. Why'd your mama put him on child support? Because she said he was a deadbeat dad.
Right.
So the cycle goes on and on. So now, because he's not at home, there's a good chance your child's going to end up in prison.
Right.
Secondly, your child's self-esteem is going to be really, really low. You follow me? I'm not saying your child can't be successful without their dad,
Right.
but boy, the odds are tremendous.
I agree.
And I'm going to tell you something, it's not worth it.
Right.
It is not worth it. Now, you might say, well, what about him? He has a response. Yes, him or her have a responsibility.
Right.
But you know, people change over time, John. Did you know that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you know that given opportunity, sometimes people can turn their lives around?
Absolutely.
So the father who's not being responsible at 19, by the time he's 25, 26, may have gotten his stuff together.
Absolutely.
And you know what I'm saying? And if we love him, then why not just say, look, you need to be taking care of this child, but I ain't throwing you in jail, but I'm just telling you, I don't know how you can look in the mirror every day and see your child being neglected.
Right.
Now that, you follow me? And he might blow you off right now, but he'll come to his senses.
Absolutely.
And here's something else that's interesting. I got to put this in. You might say, well, you're kind of out of bounds talking about this. I'm not out of bounds talking about this. Somebody got to talk about this.
Right, absolutely.
Your preachers ain't talking about it.
Sure ain't.
Think about that. Ought to be every Sunday morning service. Fathers, where your children at?
Right.
Deadbeat dads, why aren't you with your children? You don't hear them say no shit like that.
No.
They just tell your mamas, you don't need no man. You got Jesus. Jesus is your husband.
Yeah, give me that money.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? You need Jesus. That's what you need. Right. You don't need no man. Or Jesus send you a husband. Just keep coming here. And you end up with some scoundrel in church. That's all he was in there for, was to, going up under your skirt and getting what he can get under the guys, a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Absolutely.
Satan manifested. You follow me?
Right.
Looking sweet, smelling sweet, looking good with a Bible in his hand that he couldn't tell you one verse if you put a gun to his goddamn head.
Right.
He don't love the Lord. He love what's under your dress. I digress. I digress. But coming back to what we were saying, my point is that, the preachers aren't talking about it, so somebody's got to talk about it.
Absolutely.
That's why we're talking about it, guys. We're not talking about this to piss you off, ladies.
Right.
You follow me? But we are telling you that the only man you got is the man you have.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? The only man you got. Now, I'm not saying you can't get another man, but what are you looking for?
Right.
I know there's these groups that are saying, well, you know what? If I can't get no good black man, so-called black, I'll go get me a white one. Well, I'm going to tell you a story just happened just recently. I know this video running a little long, but you guys with us, right? About a story about this young woman. I think she was 15, 16, had a baby with this white guy. All right? Last week, you know what her daughter was 15 years old. Her daughter went to visit her father. White guy.
Yeah.
You know what he did?
Yeah.
He raped her.
And killed her.
And cut her throat. And then went to the police and told them, hey, I just raped my daughter, my little black daughter, and cut her throat. Now, am I saying all interracial relationships work out like that? No, that's what I'm saying. But I'm just telling you, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes,
be careful.
you might want to reconsider what your best options are. You follow what I'm saying? And if your father is black, then all black men can't be no good.
Right. Right.
Unless you saying your dad is no good,
right.
And your brother is no good, and your uncle is no good.
Right.
You follow me? And anybody else black male that ever helped you is no good. So it has nothing to do with them being no good. It's about them being systematically discriminated against and placed in these very, difficult situations to provide and take care, intentionally, I might add.
Right.
Because who's going to feed the manufacturer? See, we back where we started. Who's going to feed the mass incarceration, the prison industry complex? Who's going to feed it? You think, and by the way, most of these white women, I'm going to tell you something. A lot of these white guys ain't taking care of their children.
Absolutely.
I mean, we heard of millionaire white guys who, Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
You're
talking about Bill Gates. He ain't living his kids.
No, Steve Jobs. So Steve Jobs was Apple.
Yeah.
His wife had to sue him for child support. And this joker was a billionaire. A billionaire. He wasn't taking care of his child. Wouldn't even acknowledge the child. You follow me? But he didn't go to jail.
Right.
I wonder why. Because she probably wasn't trying to push him into the prison. She was probably trying to hold him accountable to take care of that child. But she was not trying to incarcerate him. And I'm going to be honest with you. How many white men you think are in jail for child support?
Slim to none.
I bet you very few.
Right.
But if you go and start looking at how many black men are in jail and Hispanic men are in jail for child support, it will blow your mind. So somehow these white women have already figured out that it ain't in her family's and her child's best interest long term to have his dad, a convict.
Right.
Now, black women, we love you and we respect you. I'm sure they can't outthink you. I know they're not brighter than you, because my mother is a beautiful black woman. Rest her soul. Is your mother?
My mother's a black woman too. Single mom, raised 2 sons.
Is she a beautiful black woman?
Absolutely gorgeous.
Got a great heart?
Absolutely.
How much does she love you?
Can't even explain.
Now, you see what I'm saying? And these black men saying that. So anybody telling you that we don't love you, they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Right.
But what we're saying to you, our sisters, our mothers, you know what I'm saying? That's not the answer. And we just want, ultimately, I know you're going to do what you choose to do.
Mm-hmm.
But again, somebody need to talk about this.
Absolutely.
Because this vicious cycle will go on and on. They're giving you welfare with the hope that your child does not get the proper training or develop properly, so your child can end up a part of their prison system, their manufacturing system, slave labor, right? And in the meantime, they can use their father too.
Absolutely.
Because he has fallen short of meeting his obligation for child support.
Absolutely.
And in many cases, yes, it's again, I'm not taking responsibility. I hope I don't. Do I sound like I'm taking?
No. You're just telling the truth.
Yeah, I'm not trying to take responsibility. Ladies, I promise you, I'm not trying to take responsibility off of him. I'm simply saying,
what's the other option?
yeah, love him enough to be patient enough,
Right.
and give him a chance to see what he does.
Right.
And if that child has to grow up without his provision and support, you know, that child gonna conclude themselves that he ain't worth shit.
Right.
But don't help the system. You follow me?
Yeah.
In creating a situation, a lot of men, you know what I'm saying, who were given second chances, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That, you know, turned out to be pretty damn good.
Absolutely.
I was one of them.
Yeah.
You follow me? A lot of them. And if we're going to go to jail, it should not be from our mothers,
Right.
right?
Right.
Our sisters, right?
Right.
The women who are the mothers of our children. And again, you say, well, what's the solution, DFG? Well, there are many solutions to the problem. One is, first of all, is to acknowledge that no matter what happens between us, we're going to keep the best interest of this child our first priority.
Right.
That's solution number one. Number two is that you need to fulfill your responsibility to the child. Number three, you follow me? If you fail to fulfill your responsibility to the child, then understand that how this child turns out, you own as much of it, if not more of it, than I do.
Right.
And then last but not least, you follow me, is that you need to be home with your family. If you're going to impregnate a woman, understand that if having sex with that woman and you haven't taken every precaution,
Right.
and I mean every precaution,
Right.
you impregnate her, then whatever the outcome is, you're responsible to stick it out. And maybe you don't have financial resources. You know, because here's interesting enough, you ain't working, and maybe you need to be the goddamn babysitter.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Then she can go out and do something, and that way she ain't got to pay daycare. You get one-on-one time with that child, get to nurture that child, get to love on that child, get to really feel the love that a mother has for a child as a father. I'm just saying, if you can't provide financially, provide physically for that child. God, change them diapers, make them bottles, you know, giggle them, tickle them.
Exactly.
There are things you can do. It doesn't end because you can't provide for it financially. Fathers, mothers, those are the conversations that you can give him as other options. You don't have to pin him to the floor. Because if he's in prison, he ain't taking care of the child anyway.
No, it's going right to the wayside.
He's going right to the wayside. You follow? You're putting good money on bad money, as they say.
Exactly right.
You follow me? And you should love him enough to say, you know what? You suck. You ain't about shit. But I'm not sending you amongst wolves, thinking that somehow or another you being in prison gonna make me feel better about myself.
Right.
It ain't personal, honey.
Right.
It's about this baby. Absolutely. And since it ain't personal, I ain't trying to destroy your ass.
Right.
But you a weak ass. You're a no good ass. You ain't worth a shit.
You better get your shit together.
Yeah, you ain't worth shit, but I ain't gonna destroy you.
Right.
I ain't gonna contribute to your shitty ass. Excuse our language. But women, I want you to understand that this ain't about letting no men off the hook.
Absolutely.
It's about considering the other options and understand that we cannot continue to feed, a system that's dead set. The whole reason the prison industry institutional came into play was they wanted to continue I want to say legacy of slavery, but they wanted to perpetuate. They wanted to continue the perpetuation of slavery by another name.
Right.
And that's called the penitentiary.
Right.
You follow me? That's why so many of us in there and so few of them in there, Jonathan.
Absolutely, because they're running it.
They're running it. The same overseers, the same systems, the same sheriffs, same slave catchers, and we can go on and on
It's
and
funny
on.
they call it the big house.
For a big reason, right? You got a warden who is the master,
Exactly.
and then you got a bunch of prison guards who are what? Those are the overseers, right? And then you got the house niggas. Those are the ones who the prison who are what they call them, the guys who the prisons let. The prisoners who manage other prisons, what they call their asses?
They got jobs. I forget what they
I forgot what they call. You got them, and then you got the slaves.
Right.
You got, you know what I'm saying? You got the workman class.
Right.
Trustees, that's the name.
Yeah.
You got the prison trustees, you know what I'm saying, who are just as vicious as the overseers, by the way.
Absolutely.
And then you got the slave labor.
Right.
You got the slave labor.
Right.
And the last thing I'll say in bringing this thing to a conclusion, it would be different. And forgive me for saying this.
Say it.
It would be different that if they came out of prison, the trade that they learned in prison, they could apply in the real world.
Right.
But the truth of it is they're probably not going to be able to apply because every time they go and apply for a job, like what happened to my oldest son, it's gonna flag felony,
Yes.
felony,
Yes.
felony, felony. Now my son was guilty of selling drugs. Talking about my oldest son, he's deceased now. He was guilty of selling drugs.
Right.
You follow me? And he was stupid. He was dumb. He was 18, 19 years old, trying to be a rapper, hanging out with his friends, and so one of his friends got caught up in this thing and pretty much set the rest of the group up, and he went to jail for selling marijuana. And then when he got out he didn't go to jail. He got on probation.
Right.
But he had 5 years probation, and while he was on probation, and even after he completed probation, the felony was still on his record. So he would qualify for job after job, and as soon as they did a background check, game over. So guess what he had to resort to doing? Dealing and selling drugs for real. And then and this was 2000. Matter of fact, what the day is? The 7th.
Yeah. Yep.
Tomorrow is the 9th anniversary of my son dying.
Wow.
Dying. You know what I'm saying? And he was 29 at the time.
Wow.
Tomorrow is the 9th year of him dying from a drug overdose.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? He was selling heroin, and he was using the heroin that he was selling as well. And had a massive heart attack, dropped dead right on the spot.
Damn.
So when I'm talking to you women, men, I'm not talking from a novice perspective. I'm not talking about, someone who just, want to have something to say.
Right.
And, this is why I always kind of get angry at some of these, what do you call it? These YouTubers, these content creators with YouTube, when they're always begging you for money and, and if you want to hear more what I got to say, go to my Patreon channel, because then I can talk, You know what I'm saying? Because if you really have something to say to the people, you'll say it. You don't tell them.
Especially if you care. If you gave a damn.
That's right.
Change society.
Yeah, you're going to say, go to my Patreon. Then I'm going to really tell you something. Like the YouTube police going to stop. YouTube police don't give a damn about your shit. They don't. At the end of the day, they don't give a damn about you. They got people on YouTube talking about stuff. I'm like, what the hell?
Don't make
give
sense.
a damn. That's bullshit.
Right.
They don't care.
Right.
They're wolves and shit. And some of them call themselves pastors, I might add. Right. They sure do. Some of them call themselves pastors. They can't wait to tell you to go to my Patreon channel. Right. And it's men and women, by the way. You follow me? And so I say this to you. You follow me? Is that, guys, we're giving it to you straight from the cut. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
You follow me? We can straight from the heart, from the heart, because we want you to know. And yeah, I'm an elder. I've lived longer than twice as long than many people.
Right.
I have.
Right.
But I have knowledge because I'm an elder. And I haven't sat on my ass for the last 40 years.
Right.
I've got out here. I've been out here. I've done a lot of different things out here. And in the last golden years of my life, the one thing I want to do is use that knowledge and wake our people up and help them to better understand what's going on. This is not about a conflict between men and women, child support, welfare, a man not taking care. This is not about that. Right. But somebody got to talk to us. Somebody's got to talk to you. You know what? And Jonathan and myself, we give a shit.
Absolutely.
We care. And no, we don't have no damn Patreon channel, and we ain't gonna have no damn Patreon channel. All you gotta do is subscribe to this damn channel, and you ain't gotta send me a nickel.
All for free.
All for free. If I ever get to the point where I need money that bad, I'll go to one of them goddamn signs. Help me, please, I'm poor. Before I come out there and start begging you for content that I'm sharing with you. Right. And I'm not, I use the word information.
Right.
Information is power.
Absolutely.
You follow me? It's power, guys. And again, we cannot continue to feed our children to this vicious cycle. Right. You know what I'm saying? Of mass incarceration because of poverty, because of deception and manipulative games that they play inside of the black families and all poor families. White families, the poorest of the poor are victims of this system too.
Yeah.
I can't, you know what I'm saying? A lot of white families are getting their asses kicked for the same damn reason. You follow me? So I'm not, saying this is exclusively a Latino or a black deal, but we're the primary target.
Absolutely.
I don't give a damn what nobody say, because you can't tell me how we could be 13% of the I'm sorry, 4.5% of the population and 60% of those incarcerated. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. That's intentional. Those numbers only happen when there's a systematic, intentional process or program put in place to break down and destroy and manipulate and take advantage of the poor.
Agree.
There's a movie, last thing I want to say, there's a movie called Platoon, and it's about Vietnam. And there's a part of that movie that I always liked, and this guy, I can't think of his name, but there's some black guys, and he's talking to this white guy who shouldn't be. As a matter of fact, the white guy who was like the whole story around Platoon is centered around him. And he's a very smart guy. He went to college. And they was like, what the hell are you doing in Vietnam, especially in the infantry? Right. And the guy said, well, I felt like just the poor people shouldn't have to go, and the rich don't go too. And the guy said, you got to be rich to be talking like that. He said, that the rich have always been fucking over the poor and always will fuck over the poor, quote unquote.
Right.
That's what he said. You follow me? So my point is, they've always been screwing us, and they're going to continue to screw us. And if we don't do something about it, and we don't wake up, we don't become conscious about it, then we have nobody to blame but ourselves.
Correct.
Jonathan, you want to share any closing comments here?
Just, as a family, you guys got to come up with a solution of how to bring your family closer. And like Dale said earlier, one person got to work during the day, one person take care of the kid during the day, somebody work at night, but there's got to be other options to the road that we're going down, because we're losing the race. Yeah.
And love them enough, guys. What we're saying is love them enough. You follow me, to just say, you know what? I don't like your behavior, right, but I'm not going to send you to jail. I'm not going to send you into a systematic, I'm not going to re-enslave you. Are you kidding me?
Right.
You know how many people died, what I'm saying, for us not to be that way?
Exactly.
I don't want that on my, I don't want that burden on me. Yahweh didn't tell me to send you to jail. Right. You Christian women, tell me in the Bible where it says send your husband to prison. For any reason, deadbeat. Show me in the scripture where it says you take the initiative to have him. And don't blame it on the government. The government ain't got nothing to do with it. That's your man. Right. That's your child's father or mother. Right. Show me in the scripture. Because, we want to talk about love thy neighbor and love, and God is love, and the God I know is love, using that word, and love this and love this. But the only time, but all of a sudden when it come down to that man, the father of your child, all of a sudden you forget about this love. Right. Right? If God is love, right, and Christianity is about love, and forgiving white people for their wickedness and their evil, and forgiving everybody else, well, how about forgiving him?
Exactly right.
Oh, he don't qualify? Right. Why? Who are you to judge another? Right. What if the Most High hold you to the standard that you're holding them to?
That's why they're being cursed.
That's right. In all things. You might say, well, I'm going to take care of my child, but I bet you there's some things that you're doing, if Yahweh used that same standard you're using on him, for him not being the man that he should have been, if Yahweh used that same standard on you for something that you're doing, I don't know what you're doing, you know what you're doing, if he used that same standard on you and judge you the same way and punish you the same way, how would you feel about that? I don't care what you say, good so damn well you couldn't survive if Yahweh punished you and put a curse on your life. Absolutely. I'm talking about exclusively on your life. Absolutely. And who's to say that he isn't, because your heart is not right to your brother. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And I'm going to end with this. That was a man who came up to Yeshua. Yeah. And he asked Yeshua, he said, Yeshua, what are the greatest commandments of all? And I'm sure he thought Yeshua was going to go through the 10 commandments or the 600 some odd commandments. You know what Yeshua told him?
What's that?
The greatest commandments was to love the Lord, Elohim, with all your heart, all your mind, and all your ruach, which means spirit. And then second to that is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. He said, if you completed those two, if you honor those two, you have fulfilled all the other commandments. Wow. So all of these Hebrew Israelite tribes and cults and whatever the hell they're talking about, it's funny they don't bring that up. Right. You need to keep the Sabbath, and you need to keep, the Passover, all this shit they talk about. Right. But it's funny they don't quote that. But they tell you that they're Jesus only, Yeshua only, right? Right. Well, how about talking about that? What did he mean by that, fellas? Love your neighbor as yourself. In other words, and I know you're talking shit, well, if I wouldn't do, yeah, because the shoe was on, you don't know what the hell you'll do given a different set of circumstances. How can you say that?
Right.
You haven't walked in my shoes. How can you say that? That's like telling me, I know how it feels to lose a child. Do you? Have you lost one? Because until you do, don't come tell me you know how I feel. You have no idea how I feel. And that's no disrespect to you, but you haven't walked in my shoes. So before you start talking about what you would or would not do, you need to step back for a moment and ask yourself the question, how do you know that for sure?
Right.
How do you know that you know that you know? What if your family structure was different? What if you had the same life that person had? Well, the answer to that would be simple. You would end up in the same situation that that person is in. So ladies, brothers, that's what we're talking about today. And I know we've gone extra long, and I hope you stayed with us the whole time. If you did, if nothing else, we hope we've given you something to think about.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's a lot of information. Take it in.
And ultimately,
You might have to watch this video 2 times before you get it.
Yeah,
get it.
At the end of the day, you do whatever you want to do. We can't tell you what to do.
Right.
You follow me? But, we're perfectly imperfect.
Absolutely.
All of us. You too. We're all perfectly imperfect. So how about sharing a little love?
Exactly.
There's a saying, you shall reap what you sow. Right?
Right.
But that's not only for the negative things, that's for the positive things too. So maybe if you give mercy, you'll get mercy. Right? If you give patience, maybe you'll get patience. If you give love, you'll get love. That's what it's saying. You're going to reap what you sow. Be not deceived. Yahuwah, Yahweh, is never to be mocked or taken advantage of, made to be belittled.
Right.
Whatever a man soweth, that he or she shall also reap. Those that sow to the flesh will reap fleshly things, materialism. Those that sow to the spirit will reap spiritual things, wisdom, insight, blessings, etc. Love you guys. Thank you guys for listening. Talk to you soon.
Have a good one.
DFG. Well, say it again.
Jonathan Spates.
All right, Jonathan. Jonathan, thank you for being with me on this, man. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye now.